Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining today's stream news summary from Moscow program. And what a day is going to be. Today definitely will go down in history as a day when U.S. launched yet another war, this time against Venezuela. And during the program, dear friends, I will share all the latest news about the developments, about the situation, whatever is known in Russian segment of internet. At least I'll give you some video footage also. But yes, US, it's official, by the way. Information was confirmed according to US media that it's Americans, it's US president that authorized strike on Venezuela. And let's start with some video footage, I guess. World wake up to these videos on 3rd of January, and from videos you can clearly recognize that it is indeed a U.S. militarism, because, for example, on this footage you can see two helicopters. You can see the US helicopters flying in, and on the background there is explosions, quite a number of explosions. Dozens of areas in this territory was attacked by US militarism. There is more video, by the way. For example, this one. Capital was attacked, a number of other cities around Venezuela. Another one. Targets, and you can imagine level of civilian casualties. US military, after all, they never ever have any care about civilians in history, by the way, in existence of US, right? That's just factually accurate statement. Another one here. That's the videos, by the way, that are circulating. It's another one with quite massive strikes.
Marico, tengo el corazón mío. Ya me dio mismo. Sí, sí.
Marico, tengo el corazón a 1000, pues.
Another one. Maybe you have seen some of these videos, at least on my Telegram and Twitter X page. I was quite active all morning since news broke, but I guess not all of you have seen it. So, aftermath of US strike. This is U.S. helicopter gunship is targeting in a close range ground, and war has begun, and clearly, dear friends, it seems like U.S. military's attempted a decapitation strike against Venezuela, and it is a decapitation strike. Administrative buildings were targeted, even Parliament of Venezuela, according to, for example, President of Colombia, right, who shared quite a number of information about this strike and condemn this attack of US on Venezuela. Government of Cuba condemned this attack. Many other governments, many other officials worldwide condemned what US is doing, because there is no justification for US, by the way. Venezuela did not threaten US, did not attack US, or did not do anything really, right, to provoke military response. So we all understand what is going on. Venezuela is rich with oil, right, and other mineral resources. Western ruling class plans to provoke a regional war in the Middle East, shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf, and cut off global South, China first of all, from Middle Eastern energy sources. Although to minimize negative effect of that on Western economies, on US economy, for example, they need reserve oil supplies, right? Reserve lines of oil supplies, and they are going after Venezuela. That's what is going on, by the way. That's what is going on. And be sure, after Venezuela, if US succeeds in conquering or recolonizing Venezuela, what they're gonna do next is they're gonna go full in provoking a regional war in the Middle East. That's what is going on, right? And well, let's go through some news that is available for now. As I said, this is clearly decapitation strikes, and already a number of sources are reporting that Defense Minister of Venezuela, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, was killed in the US terrorist attack. No information for now, and this is preliminary data, dear friends. Very little official statements being made, official information for now, but number of sources are reporting that Defense Minister of Venezuela was killed. His house was targeted, and you're recognizing pattern there, isn't it? During the 12-day war, US-Israeli 12-day war against Iran, what they did is targeted houses of the high-ranking militaries or political figures or scientists, right? Killing everybody. Family members, kids, everybody. And that's what US did. And I guess during the day we will learn how many people they actually killed, civilians, during this terrorist attack on Venezuela, right? You might ask her about whereabouts of Maduro. Nothing is known about this for now. But I guess my understanding is that this initial decapitation strike of US failed because not even rumors are circulating on internet for this moment. 12 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time, there is not even rumors or the speculations on internet that Maduro was eliminated too. So therefore, I will assume that initial phase of this decapitation strike of US has failed. Although in those videos that I show you, dear friends, probably you notice some specifics, which is that there is absence of air defense work, right? There is absence of air defense activity, which is strange to say the least. And I have only two explanations of that. First is that US, through CIA or other means, corrupted military commanders of the Venezuelan air defense forces, and those commanders issued the order to their troops to stand down. And that's why US Air Force and helicopters even were operating freely without any challenge whatsoever. Not a single shot, by the way, on the videos that I have seen. Not a single missile being fired, not a single shot from anti-aircraft guns, right? So one explanation can be that high-ranking officials of Venezuelan air defense forces were corrupted, and they issued their order to their troops to stand down. Or another explanation can be that maybe, just maybe, by the way, Venezuelan troops, with assistance of their friends from all over the world, let's say, organized a trap for US special forces. And obviously, in those helicopters that you see in one of their videos, US special operations units were transfer it to certain direction, and maybe absence of air defense work is a part of a bigger plan that Venezuelan security services had, and maybe they have trapped Delta Force, Rangers, Green Berets, whatever the troops were in those helicopters, right? And in that case, if this second scenario is close to reality, then in that case, during the day, probably we will see some videos of neutralized members of the U.S. Special Forces. Maybe even some of them will be captured alive, right? We will find out. But absence of work of air defense is just very revealing. It's a strange, at least, and questions will be asked about it, obviously. So during the program, dear friends, I will continue to monitor channels, right? And I give you whatever additional information is going to be available. Armored vehicles have been deployed throughout the Caracas, and I saw one of the reports, by the way, that during these attacks, the U.S. military targeted mausoleum of Hugo Chavez. How sickening is that, man? This mausoleum is basically graveyard of Hugo Chavez, and the U.S. military targeted the graveyard. It's sick stuff what American political and military leadership is doing. They clearly are sick, right? Mentally ill elements. There's no way around it, right? I'm checking right now for updates. Different explosions occurred on the grounds of the complex in Caracas that houses the Hugo Chavez's mausoleum. I already said that. Bloomberg confirmed this information. Venezuela has likely lost communication. Photo of a burning communication center in the capital is spreading online. Moreover, it's not clear where the helicopter's landing force has landed, and we can definitely make the several CH-47 Chinook transport helicopters, so we can identify definitely several Chinook helicopters, transport helicopters escorted by attack helicopters, Apaches or Super Cobras or whatever, right? So, yes, countries worldwide, by the way, it's still, in different parts of the world, it's still early morning, and countries worldwide are commenting on the situation and condemning. Very many countries are condemning the U.S. attacks on the Venezuela. But let's continue with some other news that is available for now. Foreign Ministry of Venezuela stated that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has declared a national state of emergency, which indicates that Maduro is alive. Otherwise, how he declared state of emergency, right? So Maduro probably is alive, although it's a fog of war. It's a fog of war now, of course, around Venezuela, and difficult to actually know what's going on. Fox News confirmed that they had spoken to some officials, and yes, it is U.S. military assault on Venezuela. I can show you some short clip of these statements. So this is the Fox News U.S. propaganda channel.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Eric Shawn in New York. We're at Chanley Painter, and we have the latest news. The White House confirming, according to sources, that the United States is attacking Venezuela in a military operation in these early morning hours.
So it's official. There was a report that Trump will make a statement about attacks on Venezuela once U.S. aerial military assets, at least, will leave their Venezuelan airspace. It's midnight right now in U.S., isn't it? Or early morning, let's say. and statement from White House to be expected in about couple of hours. Time. What achievement for a so-called peace president, isn't it? Trump, and he was almost openly demanding a Nobel Peace Prize to be given to him. I mean, what a, what a crazy times, man! What crazy times. My take on this situation. It was obvious that U.S. Would attack Venezuela. My explanation is that this is a part of a bigger plan that Western ruling class has, a plan that is basically focused on destroying Russia and China, right? That's what their goal is, to dominate the world, by the way. And they are attacking Venezuela now. If they manage to secure Venezuela, they will attack Cuba also, by the way, a number of other countries in Latin America, but most are, no any less importantly, they will go full in on a provoking regional war in the Middle East, right? And while in control of Venezuela, yet again, if they succeed, they will manage somewhat at least to minimize harm to Western economies once they will shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf. And I remind you, dear friends, that US is the number one producer of oil. Yes, this is factually accurate information, but also US is the biggest oil consumer in this world, right? US is the biggest consumer of their oil, and they are buying on daily basis 3 to 5 million barrels of oil, right? And if they will shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf, if they are destabilizing countries, number of other countries where they, oil-rich countries included, where they cannot compete with China, from where they're going to get their oil? Venezuela, by the way, right? And if people of Venezuela are going to fight, by the way, I said this many times before, if people of Venezuela are going to fight for their liberty, for their sovereignty, then I'm quite sure world community will stand there behind them, right? And they will receive whatever assistance is necessary to defend themselves, right? And the Venezuelan people do have a lot of friends worldwide. Take a look at the statements that already been made by high-ranking officials from all around the world condemning this attack of U.S. on Venezuela, unprovoked attack, by the way, right? No one can argue that U.S. had any reasoning to attack Venezuela. All these drug stories, it's garbage, right? It's a pretext. No one believes in that crap, right? Because if U.S. was serious, if White House was serious about combating drug trafficking, they should conduct clearing operation in the CIA and their Pentagon, by the way. Biggest drug traffickers ever existed in this world, right? We all know this. So yes, it's a war, by the way. It's a war, and let me go through some latest reports. Today in U.S., anti-war organization will organize anti-war demonstrations. No war on Venezuela. Allegedly, demonstrations will take place or are planned at least in 12 cities. And I really hope U.S. citizens will show their kindness, their responsibility, and they will participate. They will join these demonstrations in these 12 cities. But for whatever reason, I have some doubts that they're going to be mass demonstrations, by the way. Seems like U.S. propaganda, Western propaganda means, U.S. propaganda means are extremely effective, and they did brainwashed vast majority of their societies in such a way and scale that, with the exception of very few decent, hardly anyone will participate in anti-war demonstrations because they just simply don't care. They will justify anything. They love when U.S. goes on a killing spree and kills people left and right all over the world. They love this, right? This is what U.S. is, actually. Let's not kid ourselves, man. Take a look at the history of U.S. All they do is kill people, man. Facts, right? U.S. has started with the genocide, exterminating local populations in North America, and they continue to commit genocides left and right, by the way. That's what cultural code is of US, right? Let's go through some also latest. RIA Novosti is reporting that US attacked Caracas, city capital of Venezuela, as well as states of Miranda, La Guara, and Aragua. Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez stated, which means that these initial reports about Defense Minister being killed is inaccurate. So those sources, those media outlets that actually reported about Defense Minister being killed were mistaken. I guess this will indicate that this decapitation strike of US definitely failed. Also, fire broke out at Venezuela's largest military complex, Fort Tiuna, after reports of strikes in their area. There have been no reports of Russians being injured or killed in Venezuela. Russian embassy shared the information. Cell phone service outages are being reported in Caracas following a series of explosions, leaving part of the city without power. Venezuela will appeal to UN, the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, and their non-aligned movement over US attack. Yes, but will it work? What they gonna do? It's a US, by the way. US political class does whatever they want to do. It's not the US, not just US political class, but it's a Western ruling class, isn't it? That are using and abusing US as their tool. As their tool, by the way. US is like a baseball bat, right? That is used to smash nations left and right whenever Western ruling class is in mood to do so, right? That's what this Western rules-based order is. That's what it is, man. The military facility housing their mausoleum of former Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez was bombed also, which clearly demonstrates how sick, mentally ill US leadership, political and military leadership is, right? Colombian President Gustavo Petro published a list of attack targets in Venezuela, including a helicopter base, their legislative palace in Caracas, parliament, and an F-16 base. And right now, by the way, breaking news that you can see on your screen, Trump stated that Maduro was captured and taken out of Venezuela. Well, that's the breaking news. If true, then that's a tremendous failure of Venezuelan security forces. Probably Maduro was surrounded by traitors, right? Because how this can be, I have no freaking idea. But that's what Trump says, that Maduro was captured and taken out of Venezuela. Well, okay then. Okay, if true, now it's all up to people of Venezuela. Will they kneel to their white masters and kiss their boots or not? We will find out. Right? I was always focused on the will of people of Venezuela. If they fight for their freedoms and their liberty, they will get all the support necessary. If they choose to be slaves of American white masters, globalist white masters, then okay, that's their choice, and let them be slaves then. In that case, hardly anyone can do anything about it, right? In that case, it's all up to Venezuelan people, but this is definitely breaking news. You see here, US went in, they are not messing around, isn't it? They went in and potentially captured Maduro, maybe killed, who knows, by the way. Who knows, conducted decapitation strike. You see, that's how wars are conducted. And that's from where my frustration is coming from when I'm saying what the hell we are doing in regards to leadership of these terrorists in Kiev. Why have not we conducting decapitation strike? Why we are not eliminating leadership of this Western-backed terrorist regime in Kiev? But nevertheless, this is Trump's statement, by the way. I'm not inclined to believe anything that comes out of Trump. We clearly saw helicopters moving in Venezuela. There is plenty of videos, right? Probably some SEAL teams were on those helicopters or some other special forces units. And if they succeeded in capturing Maduro, then, well, what can I say, man? That means Maduro was surrounded by a bunch of traitors, period, right? Okay. Let me check on I will check right now for some updates on Telegram channels. No senior Venezuelan government officials or military officers have made a public appearance since the start of their explosions. And this is Trump's statement, by the way, on the matter. He tweeted, "This sick scum of humanity is, as always, tweeting on his True Social, right, about policies of the U.S. So United States, this scum of humanity," Trump writes, "United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of country. This operation was done in conjunction with the U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald Trump." Why this bitch was not killed, man, by that assassin who almost took his fucking ear out, man? Why this bitch was not killed, man? Such a shame. This scum of humanity, disgusting scum of humanity, man. Fuck him and everybody around him, man. This dirty fucking bitch, man. I'm so sick and tired of this scum, man. This scum operating with impunity and killing people and committing crimes with impunity worldwide, man. How long we have to tolerate this shit, man? I have no fucking idea. Too bad, man. Too bad. But yet again, if Venezuelan people will fight, okay. If not, then yeah, they're gonna end up being slaves of Americans. That's how it is. So that's it, by the way, for this Venezuela story. Let's see what's gonna come next. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. So let's go through some other news now. And can you imagine how emboldened this Western ruling class is going to be after this humiliation of their Venezuela and the world community, by the way? It's a humiliation. What US did right now is a humiliation of the world community, right? They just went into country, bombed, killed people, kidnapped president of the country, right? And and what world community gonna do about it? Nothing. Some statements here and there, and that's about it, man. And this scum that Western ruling class will go and lecture others what rule of law is and what democracy is and the decency and dignity and so on, man. It's humiliating. It's fucking humiliating, man. This is wrong in so many levels. I don't know. I'm speechless, man. This is just too fucked up, man. The world is done, man. Humanity is done, man. We are tolerating this shit. Probably we didn't deserve any better than. Anyways, let's continue with some other news, by the way. During the day, probably we will learn some more. If Maduro was actually captured, he's going to be paraded soon, I guess, televised and humiliated again. And we will see it all. We will see it all, and humanity will watch and do nothing about it. It's not about Maduro personally. It's about humanity, state of humanity, correct? that Western ruling class, this bunch of psychopaths, genocidal maniacs, are basically raping this world, right? Anytime they want, and humanity stands there and does nothing. Shame on humanity, by the way. Shame on humanity. RIA Novosti, meanwhile, is reporting that air defenses shut down 22 drones that was launched by NATO terrorists and their proxies in Kiev to strike deep into Russian territory. 12 drones were shut down over the Crimea, 6 in Krasnodar region, 2 in Rostov region, 1 each in Adygea and over the waters of the Sea of Azov. Also, you know, there was a tragedy when NATO terrorists, when Western terrorists and their proxies in Kiev launched a drone strike on civilians that were celebrating New Year on the night between 31st of December and 1st of January in the Kherson region, as a result of which, according to latest information, 28 people, 28 civilians, by the way, among those children, were killed and wounded. And on the spot of this tragedy, emergency services find equipment from those drones, parts of those drones, and you guessed where those drones were made, or those parts, in the West, in the NATO countries, in Germany to be more specific. Rheinmetall is a producer of these drones, by the way, and well, I think Russia has every reason to eliminate all Rheinmetall factories all over the world, right? And to eliminate German leadership after what Trump just did, or US just did with Venezuela. Why should not Russia take out leadership of enemies of ours, right? But of course, Russian president not gonna authorize anything like that, right? But yeah, it's Germany, by the way. Germany killed 28 Russian civilians and injured dozens more on New Year's Eve. It's Germany's crime committed against Russia once again. Flight path targeting data was provided, obviously, by US and UK. Drones were provided by Germany. That's what it is. Also, yesterday, there was an explosion in Kharkov, quite a big explosion in the central part of Kharkov, somewhat central part of Kharkov. And Kiev regime went to blame Russia for this. There was significant damage in the area, by the way. I can, if I have videos of that, I can even show you. I can show you, by the way, those videos. So this is the one. So let's see it again. You can see there is a smoke, isn't it? There is a smoke, area is burning, and then explosion, right? No arrivals, no sound of arrival, nothing, right? It's an explosion from within. It's a shopping mall. It's a shopping mall that exploded, by the way. Shopping mall that was used by Kiev regime to store weapons and munition. Not the first time when civilian infrastructure is used by Ukrainian terrorists and their NATO backers to hide the weapons, right? There is another video that also depicts a moment of this relatively large explosion. That's the explosion. Okay, let's see it again. Really, smoke is visible, isn't it? Really, building is burning, and then explosion. And after this explosion, there was secondary explosions too in the area. Plenty of videos. Although what Kiev regime did, they blamed Russia, and they said Russian militarism used 2 Iskander missiles to strike this shopping mall, which is based on these videos, by the way. You don't have to be a military expert to understand straight away. This is not a missile strike. This is explosion from within, right? Probably Kiev regime's forces and their NATO mercenaries were storing weapons, munition with full neglection of their safety measures, right? Fire went off and then explosion, right? Quite significant damage was done to their area, but Russian Defense Ministry did make a statement about it and said that Russian military did not strike on that particular area yesterday, neither with missiles, neither with drones, neither with anything. That's the official statement of the Russian Federation. Meanwhile, inside the Kiev-controlled territory, inside the Western-backed terrorist regime in Kiev, there is a reshuffle among the officials. And for example, terrorist and mass murderer Budanov, that was leading terrorist organization called their main intelligence directorate, was appointed as a head of Zelensky's office, or head of office of the president. Although Zelensky is not a president, he's freaking nobody, right? Prostitute of the West, that's all. But Western world recognizes him as a president of Ukraine anyways, isn't it? So Kirill Budanov, this mass murderer and a terrorist, head of Ukraine's main intelligence directorate, announced that he has accepted Zelensky's offer to lead his office, basically. Okay, you might argue what the hell is going on, what this means. And well, on this matter, by the way, Russian high-ranking diplomat stated, quite interesting stuff. He said that this is London, by the way, is increasing its grip or strengthening its grip on Kiev, on Zelensky's regime, right? So appointment of Budanov as the head of Zelensky's office was dictated by London, which wants to strengthen control of the Zelensky himself. Radion Miroshnik, the ambassador on special missions of the Russian Foreign Ministry, said, and I don't really have to add anything, and neither I care what these terrorists are doing among each other, who will take which position and why. All of them should be dead by now, right? All those terrorists, by the way, should be dead by now. Unfortunately, they are not, right? But I mean, if world history is teaching us anything, then, well, one of the most effective ways to deal with your enemies, whatever enemies are, right? Terrorist organizations, terrorist regimes, or whatever their case, is to eliminate the leadership of your enemies, right? And therefore, I never understood and never will understand why Russian president did not make political decision and did not authorize Russian militaries and security services to eliminate leadership of enemy, right? I don't understand this, man. I'm not gonna lie. I just don't fucking understand what kind of, what's going on, man. I just don't freaking understand. Why Zelensky is free to walk around there and like, I don't know, why Budanov is still there. Criminal that publicly acknowledged killing Russian civilians, right? He publicly acknowledged, bragged about killing Russian civilians, conducting terrorist attacks on Russian soil. Why this bitch is still alive, man? I have no freaking idea. But it is what it is, man. Or any other scum of humanity that represents this terrorist regime in Kiev. Why they're still alive, man? I don't know. Zelensky himself also announced that the new head of this terrorist organization called Main Intelligence Directorate will be their head of a foreign intelligence service, Oleg Ivanchenko, another mass murderer and a terrorist that should not be alive, but he is apparently. And also Zelensky proposed that the head of the Ministry of Digital Transformation becomes Ukraine's Minister of Defense. So Vladimir Zelensky announced that he has proposed that Ukrainian Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhail Fyodorov, this dirty bitch probably is absolutely confirmed that he is ethnic Ukrainian, Mikhail Fyodorov. Holy moly. If you ask him, probably he will say he's ethnic Ukrainian. His ancestors are, veliki, great Ukrs, right? That build freaking pyramids in Egypt or something like that. These are sick motherfuckers, man. These sicking animals, right? That's what they are. Everybody who says he's ethnic Ukrainian is a sick fucking animal, man. Because there is no such ethnicity as Ukrainian. Never existed, will never exist. Period. Right? These are Russians, Poles, Hungarians, Romanians, right? That have been brainwashed. So much so that they said they are saying no to their own past, to their own history, and claiming that they are now something else. What a scam, man. What a scam these garbage individuals are. But anyways, that's what is going to happen, by the way. This garbage, Mikhail Fyodorov, another terrorist and mass murderer from the regime, will replace Shmigal, right? Current so-called defense minister. And in regards to Denis Shmigal, Zelensky said that he will continue to work for regime in some other directions. Okay, yet again, plenty of people are commenting on this reshuffles, what this means and this and that. And in my personal opinion, it means freaking nothing. These dirty freaking animals are nobodies, right? And if you really want to understand what the hell is going on in Kiev, better to ask London about it and Washington and, in a lesser scale, Berlin and Paris, but because that's who decision makers are. That's where decision makers are, not these fucking nobodies, man, right? And some people on internet with the serious faces are discussing, you see, Zelensky is appointing Budanov here and this one there, and who cares, man? Who are these garbage? These are nobodies, man. Fucking nobodies, right? RIA Novosti is reporting also that protests in Iran have turned into riots. So protests in western and northern eastern Iran have escalated into unrest. The Tasnim news agency reports. On Friday evening, protests took place in the city of Borj-Nurd due to fluctuations in the real exchange rate. In several areas, protesters moved away from proceeding economic demands and towards carrying out pogroms. The statement said it is specified that the number of participants in the routes did not exceed 100. They blocked road lines, disrupting traffic and so on. And, well, Western ruling class, by the way, who is behind this stuff? Western ruling class, Israeli secret services, Western secret services, obviously, right? That's it. There is no way I'm going to believe that people of Iran, in mass, by the way, during the crisis when their country, their people, their homeland being attacked by scum of humanity that Western ruling class is and Israelis are, during those times, those people will turn on their own country. No, not possible, right? Not possible. There might be some legit protests, absolutely, about inflation, about exchange rate of local currency or whatever, but moment these protests turn towards riots, you know straight away that this is, by the way, some scam. These are scam, by the way, right? Led by foreign intelligence services to destabilize the situation. Moment they turn to aggression, throwing Molotov cocktails to policemen, to the buildings, and so on, you know straight away that this was orchestrated by Western assets or Israeli assets while using some domestic issues that are actually legit. Because there is a high inflation, by the way, issues with inflation, right, in Iran. There is an issue with their local currency losing its strength, right? And people might be upset about it. But why you are attacking freaking buildings, man? Why you are throwing Molotov cocktails at the policemen? What this policeman has to do with the freaking currency, man? What, if anything, right? So as soon as you start acting irrationally, behaving in a criminal manner, it's just too clear that you are asset, willingly or unwillingly, but you are freaking asset of their foreign secret services and should be neutralized, period, one way or another. That's how it is, man. You cannot tolerate foreign assets to operate on your soil. You just cannot. This is true for everybody, for every country, Iran included. Meanwhile, Tehran demands UN response to Trump's threats. As you know, Trump just like day before yesterday threatened Iran with their military action, right? And I said, by the way, Western ruling class is planning to attack not just Iran, but they are planning to provoke a regional war to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf, right? And this attack on Venezuela is a part of this bigger operation that they have, right? So the Iranian government has formally demanded action from the United Nations following the series of increasingly bellicose statements from the US President Donald Trump, including claims that Washington is poised to intervene in their ongoing unrest in the Islamic Republic. And question is what UN, this irrelevant organization, totally discredited organization, gonna do? Organization that largely controlled by Zionists, globalists, neocons, and so on, and their secret services. What UN gonna do, man? Condemn US? And so what? UN has condemned the fascist Israel like how many times? Dozens of times, right? Since the existence of this fascist entity. And what? Did the fascist Israelis, stop genociding Palestinians even for a single day? They did not. They did not, right? So UN itself is a tool in hands of globalists, and UN was created by globalists. Let's be real here. It's an imitation of the world government, right? It's a tool that was created by globalists from the beginning, right? And to ask UN to do something about it, come on, man, you're not being serious there. Meanwhile, Thomas Messi, by the way, there is a very few high-ranking or highly public figures in the US that are actually there to challenge narratives, right? These criminal narratives of the Washington and the White House. And Thomas Messi, about whom I don't really know much, but clearly his statements are challenging this criminal narratives of the Washington, isn't it? Maybe he is a good person, maybe not. I have no freaking idea who he is. But he went to say that, and this is quote, by the way, we have problems at home and there should not be wasting military resources on another country's internal affairs. He was commenting on Trump's threats to Iran. And second point he's making, military strikes on Iran require congressional authorization. I mean, yes, formally, yes, as it was the case with Venezuela. There's supposed to be congressional authorization, by the way, but was there any? No. So US is a joke, man. US Constitution, US laws, legislation, it's all freaking joke, man. It's not real. It's not serious. It's just a talking point. It's just a freaking talking point. When these public figures want to manipulate with their patriotism of their masses, they'll say, Constitution. They say Constitution a million times, but when it comes to policies, well, more often than not, they are forgetting about existence of the Constitution or existence of any legislation whatsoever in the US, right? So I'm telling you, US is a joke. US legislation is a joke. US Constitution is a joke. It's a joke country, man. It's not even a country. It's a tool in the hands of groups of special interests that are dominating this world, right? And are based in the West. Third point from Thomas Messi, this threat is not about freedom of speech in Iran. It's about the dollar, oil, and Israel. Yes, partially yes, but it's much bigger strategical game that the Western ruling class is engaged in when it comes to Middle East. By the way, I said many times before, Western ruling class wants to provoke regional war there, shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf, cut off global south, China namely, first of all, from the Middle Eastern energy sources, and then force China automatically to increase its dependence on Russian supplies towards their ultra critical level, and the Western ruling class wants this because they think they are in a position to, at that point, create tensions between Russia and China. When Beijing's dependence or Chinese economy's dependence on Russian energy will be on absolute levels, right? And if they will succeed in that creation of tensions, their hope is that they will force China to take a military action, right? To secure closest energy fields. And where closest energy fields on the ground is from China, it's the Central Asian former Soviet republics, namely Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, and it's Russia. That's what their big game plan is for the Western ruling class. And to minimize harm for the Western economies, they are trying now to secure alternative energy sources, by the way, for themselves, right? Venezuela has been one of them. Nigeria, another one. You think Trump actually cares about Nigerian Christians? I mean, seriously? He just killed God knows how many Christians in Venezuela. And just recently, Trump was shaking hands with Giuliani, by the way, head of Damascus regime, right? Who kills Christians on a daily basis? And where is this love to Christianity from Trump or J.D. Vance and others? They were just now shaking hands with this Al-Giuliani creature, right? That kills ethnic minorities and religious minorities, including Christians, by the way. So don't give me this nonsense, right? That, American leadership cares about Christians. No, man. They never cared about anything else but domination. And that's it, right? That's it. So Thomas Messi definitely has good points here, but I don't know how influential he is. I don't even know personally he is a good person or not. Just because he's making some adequate statements does not mean much, right? And you tell me, dear friends, if you know anything about Thomas Messi. He's a senator or something, isn't he, in the US? So yeah, that's what is happening. At least there is some opposition, right? There is at least some opposition there in America against all this craziness that Western ruling class, American ruling class is committing and implementing. RIA Novosti, meanwhile, is reporting that Iran has threatened to attack US bases in the event of aggressive moves by Washington. Iran will strike American bases in the Middle East if the US displays aggression. This was stated by Iranian parliament's speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. And you know what? You had the opportunity to strike US bases just a couple of months ago when Iran was attacked, right? And Iranian leadership chose not to. And therefore, all these strong statements after that probably means less than paper that it's rotten or written, right? It's you had your, on many occasions, by the way. I mean, Iran is constantly attacked by Israel and US, right? Soleimani was killed by Trump, and what Iran did, they strike back on US bases, and they tell the Americans that they were about to strike them. What are you doing, man? Are you serious? And now, after 12-day war, after US strikes on nuclear infrastructure, Iran again informed Americans that, hey, we are about to strike you. Come on, man. What a joke. What a joke. Either fight or don't even pretend, right? That's all I have to say. Anyways, and by the way, there is a saying, I can't remember who said that. It was ironically, it was one of the American leaders, isn't it? That if you sacrifice freedom or liberty for security, eventually you will lose both liberty and security. Something like that. And this is good say, by the way, because it's actually factually accurate statement, right? If war is inevitable, just fight. You might win, you might lose, but at least you did what is right And if you're going to die, you will die fighting. That's it, man. Don't cave in. Don't let your enemies know that you are about to strike, because it's a wrong move, man. You are sending wrong messages. You are emboldening your enemies to do more, right? Yes, this goes not just for Iran, by the way. I have said a million times that restraint of the Russian leadership in regards to response on aggression of the NATO member states is being interpreted in the West as a Russian weakness. Western leaders are now absolutely convinced that Putin is bluffing, Russian leadership is bluffing, and Russia will do nothing against them ever, no matter what they're gonna do to Russia, right? And because of it, it seems like we, with our restraint, are inviting more and more aggression upon us from the West. Why? Why, for God's sake, man? If you have to fight, let's fucking fight, man. If we have to die, then let's die with dignity. No one gonna stay here forever, right? Everyone gonna die one day. So what is the point to be afraid of that? There is no point in it, isn't it? Anyways, Saudi-led coalition bombs and clashes with the UAE-backed Southern Transitional Council fighters in Yemen's Hadramaut province, and well, situation I just mentioned, isn't it? That Western ruling class wants to destabilize Middle East, create a regional war, by the way. Unfortunately, we have more and more indicators that the region is getting closer and closer to that boiling point, right? And well, now you have this situation when Saudi Arabia and UAE basically are engaged in a proxy war against each other, which is not good, by the way. I mean, if you keep in mind that Saudi Arabia also has a very bad relationships, to say the least, with Qatar, with everybody, actually. Nothing to be said about Iran, by the way, right? Well, if you keep all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East in mind, then you will understand that actually Western ruling class can quite easily provoke a regional war there. Quite easily, man. Right? And I'm not quite sure these clashes, this proxy war that is actually been going on right now between Saudi Arabia and UAE is not provoked by Western ruling class. Just saying. Naval contingents from Russia, China, and Iran are converging in South Africa in anticipation of the start of their exercise Mossy Free in early January. Mossy Free is a BRICS initiative aimed at strengthening mutual cooperation on the defense sphere. In the defense sphere, and well, this is good news. Obviously, this is good news. I was saying, isn't it, that it's a matter of time, and the BRICS will probably build up its military wing, and clearly, process is underway. But yes, some more needs to be done, man. More needs to be done. I wonder what BRICS is gonna do now when Venezuela is being attacked. Venezuela is a BRICS partner, isn't it? Can BRICS protect its partners and its allies and their members even? It's a big question, by the way. This is challenge, right? US is challenging Russia and China openly, India too. Not just US, but Western ruling class in general. And they are challenging emerging multipolar world on multiple directions. And seems like they are on offensive. And all we do, by the way, all the rest of the humanity, which is 80% of the humanity, by the way, all we do is exercising restraint. How long, man? For how long? When are we gonna strike back? That's the question I have. Only question I have at this point. When are we gonna strike back on the Western ruling elites and exterminate them? That's the only question I have, man. Everything else is just a freaking waste of time. Because Western ruling class is an evil force and has to be exterminated, literally exterminated, if humanity wants to survive. That's how it is, man. You might like it or not, but that's how it is. And all of humanity should be allies in this fight. No matter you are from west, east, north, south, no matter from where you are. Western ruling class is enemy for all of us. It's an evil force, and we have to destroy it. Period. I don't understand why this topic is not being publicized on highest possible level. Why no one is calling Western ruling class from public figures evil force? Or why this is not in mainstream in this world? To make it clear for everybody that that's how we see Western ruling class, evil force that has to be exterminated. Let's make it clear, man. I don't know. I mean, too much games, isn't it? Too much freaking games are going on, man, in this world by politicians of all sorts, right? And yeah, it's very damaging for the humanity. That's what I can say. Also, there is a leaks, by the way. Al Jazeera is reporting about leaks that allegedly former commander of Syria's 25th Division, so-called Tiger Forces, General Shail al-Hassan, who was serving under the Assad's presidency, by the way, in Syria. Allegedly, he is leading some resistance movement in Syria with 160,000 strong militiamen, right? Militiamen and former soldiers of the Bashar al-Assad's army. And allegedly, according to Al Jazeera, they are about to challenge al-Julani's regime. And well, it might sound big, you know, that, well, 160,000 strong resistance movement, but you know what, I'm not buying this stuff. I'm just not. I don't know why Al Jazeera is pushing this narrative, but I don't think there is any serious resistance force in Syria among local Arabs, by the way, let's say this way. I just don't think so. They are, of course, Kurdish forces that are playing their own games, right? They are Druze forces that are protected by Israel. And that's about it. You know, Alawites on the coastal line did try to defend themselves from this new regime in Damascus, but time and again they are failing, right? One point they might actually come up with their organized resistance movement, but for now seems like they are not in that position yet, right? But 160,000 strong resistance movement, no, man, I'm not buying it. Not possible. Maybe this kind of information is being spread to justify aggressive criminal actions of the al-Julani's regime, right? When Damascus regime is targeting people left and right, not just ethnic minorities or religious minorities, but Arabs too, but ordinary Arabs, Sunni Arabs too, that are for secular society. Even that is a challenge now for these psychopaths that are in charge in Damascus, because they are religious fanatics, right? They don't want to hear anything about secularity. So yeah, that's the narrative that is being pushed by Al Jazeera, and I'm just sharing the information. Probably this is just an attempt on their part to justify whatever Damascus is doing in terms of military operations against different groups in the country. RIA Novosti, meanwhile, is reporting that Germany is in Germany, up to 700,000 conscripts may be registered for military service this year. This is a new legislation in Germany, and well, good luck with that, by the way. Good luck with that. I'm quite sure young generation in Germany is about anything but serving as puppets or their meat for globalists and globalist control regime in Berlin. So I'm quite sure this is going to be a big challenge for Merz's terrorist regime in Berlin, right? Also, Tesla, by the way, loses EV crown to BYD after second annual sales drop. BYD is, of course, Chinese car manufacturer that specializes on electric vehicles. And I can give you some numbers. So Tesla sales fell by 8.6% over the year, allowing Chinese BYD, this is a 2025 data, by the way, allowing Chinese BYD to take their lead among electric car manufacturers worldwide. Moreover, BYD delivered nearly 2.3 million electric cars over the year, while Tesla delivered about 1.6 million cars. So significant gap there in favor of BYD, and this is while BYD is not allowed on American market, by the way, right? And there is facing some serious challenges on European market, right? But nevertheless, they are crushing Western competitors, including Tesla. And yeah, this is quite interesting news, I can say. And dear friends, let me check right now some updates in regards to Venezuela. Let's check. There is some breaking video. Venezuelan outlets report that Defense Minister Pedrino Lopez has survived. Okay, but if Maduro was captured, by the way, what good is in Defense Minister's survival? He should shot himself, right? He should kill himself because he allowed this to happen. Man, what kind of defense minister is that allows president of the country to be captured? Man, he should freaking kill himself out of shame, right? But probably that person has no dignity, man, or decency. It's crazy. If Trump's report is correct and U.S. military is actually captured Maduro and his family members, that's a shame on all commanders of the Venezuela, by the way, especially high-ranking commanders, and on the inner circle of Maduro, because this is shame on Venezuela itself. This is insult for Venezuela, right? Nothing to be said there. These actions of their Western ruling class and U.S. ruling class being an insult to the world community itself, right? Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez is safe, the Wall Street Journal reports, citing a source close to the country's government. Okay, I mean, she's safe. It's a female, by the way, so it's good that U.S. military did not kill this particular female, although why would they care, by the way? U.S. militaries are well known for being genocidal maniacs, right? Absolute scum of humanity, and they're going to be remembered as such, by the way, right? Forever. And you might don't like my words, but go through some history of actions of the U.S. militaries, by the way. There is no decency and dignity there. If anything, is inhumanity and genocide. That's what U.S. militaries do, by the way. And if you want, I can remind you, just the bombing of Japan with nukes. And many people don't know, but before nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki, American militaries, by the way, burned alive more than 200,000 Japanese, I believe, in Tokyo. Did you know about it? That Americans burned alive about 200,000 Japanese in Tokyo. Casualty numbers were higher than nuke bombings. It was a massive fire, by the way, firestorm in Tokyo that was mainly built in a traditional way, with the wood, right? With the timber. And Americans burned these people alive. And they have no shame about it, right? Many Americans probably don't even fucking know, man. What about Dresden bombing? When tens of thousands of Germans, according to reports, according to some sources, more than 100,000 innocent people, by the way, civilians, were burned alive. What about that? What about all the other crimes, by the way, from Vietnam to, I don't know, man, million Iraqis being killed due to actions of the U.S. militaries. So, everyone knows what U.S. militaries are, and Western militaries in general, by the way. Yeah, Maduro allegedly was captured by Army Delta Force units, U.S. Delta Force units. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. Such a shame, man. I'm checking now if there is any interesting news. U.S. pretext for aggression against Venezuela are groundless, Russia's foreign ministry stated. Yeah, okay, statements. And what those statements do, man? Nothing, right? Nothing. Блин. Let's see what people of Venezuela are gonna do. New York Times is reporting that there was no American casualties in the operation to capture Maduro. May be true, by the way, if Maduro, and seems like Maduro was portrayed by his inner circle, if U.S. militaries went in and out without losing anyone or anything, you clearly see videos. There is no air defense work in place, nothing, right? This clearly indicates that, Maduro was encircled by traitors. As simple as that. That's it, man. Right? Traitors that probably ordered their troops to stand down. That was a trick that Americans used in Iraq, isn't it? Dozens of Iraqi generals were bribed by Americans before they went in, and those generals ordered their Iraqi militaries to stand down, right? And then Americans went in and killed these militaries that were not even prepared to fight because they were given order to stand down. And thousands of Iraqis were slaughtered like that by Americans. It is what it is. Okay, that's about it. We do not know their whereabouts of President Maduro and his wife. Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, allegedly stated, okay, he is captured. They are captured, right? It looks like this is true. So shame, by the way, on Maduro's inner circle, on Maduro's security services. I mean, what the hell is going on, man? This is unbelievable. And shame on humanity, by the way, that this so-called world community just stands there and watches how Western ruling class, this evil force, is committing crimes left and right, genociding people left and right, destroying countries left and right with impunity. Probably humanity didn't deserve no better. So this is it, dear friends. I guess enough for this update. I try to provide you latest information that was available in Russian segment of internet by now. Hopefully you did find my report informative and interesting. Dear friends, maybe I was a bit emotional, but yes, that's how it is time to time, right? We are living in the crazy times. How are you not gonna get emotional, man? It's crazy, right? What is going on? But nevertheless, if my emotions offended anybody in the community, too bad, man. Too bad. My apologies, sir. I definitely don't intend to create a bad mood to anyone, right? You understand me, dear friends. So yes, sir. If my emotions were a bit too much, my apologies for that. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you like their video. And in that case, click that like button, dear friends. Let me check Rumble if for a possible super chat. I don't want to miss nothing there. So there was no super chat on Rumble. And let me check Boosty just in case. So there was nothing on the Boosty 2, by the way. No questions from there. And I guess if there was anything, any question or the comment through PayPal, Anna would drop a screenshot, but there is nothing there, so no message from Anna. So I guess this is it for now. I'll be active, by the way. If any interesting news becomes available, if any interesting news becomes available, by the way, I will share it on my Telegram and Twitter X page. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day, despite fact that we are living in a crazy times, by the way. Nevertheless, I hope you will have a wonderful day, peaceful day. Take care, by the way. And tomorrow we have a big community chat, isn't it? So let's have a good chat tomorrow about anything. Bye for now. And thank you for your attention.